You're listening to the Codependent Millennial Podcast with Sophie Shilo, Episode 21, a Masterclass on Confidence. In this episode, you'll get to hear the audio from a series of trainings I did on Instagram all about self-confidence. You can find these videos on IGTV, but I wanted to give you the option of accessing the audio all in one place. In these videos, I do a deep dive into the topic of confidence, and I take you through a few different extremely powerful exercises that I use with my clients to help you completely shift the way you see yourself in the best way. At the end of this episode, you'll have a deep understanding of what confidence is and how to create it for yourself, no matter what your past experience has been with confidence or a lack thereof. Now, before we get started, I want to read a testimonial from a client of mine. Here's what Annabelle had to say about our work together in private coaching. Sophie has literally transformed the way I think of myself and the way I live my life. I don't have to wonder anymore why I do things the way that I do them. She has shown me that it always comes from my mind. She has shown me what it means to tap into the subconscious part of my mind. She has taught me what it means to love my whole self and know my whole self and accept my whole self. I always have the answer, I just have to dig for it. If you want someone to blow your world up in the best way, Sophie's your gal. Set yourself free. Let's go. I love it so much. Thank you, Annabelle, for those incredible words. I so appreciate it. As of today, July 4th, 2020, I have just 3 more open spots for one-on-one coaching with me. So if you've been listening for a while and have been putting off getting in touch with me about working together, now is the perfect time. You can apply to become a private client by visiting codependentmillennial.com and clicking the button that says Apply Now. All right, let's get to the good stuff. Please enjoy this episode all about confidence. Good evening, everyone. Today is lesson 1 in our week covering confidence. You all voted in the poll, and the vast majority of you responded that you'd like to hear about confidence this week. So here we go. First lesson. I wrote down a whole bunch of things that I want you to know about confidence. Hi, welcome. Thank you guys so much for being here. So we're just starting our lesson on confidence this week. And the reason why I haven't posted this for the last 2 hours, I was just writing. Stuff was just coming out and it was so good. So I'm going to speak about it now, just all the thoughts that I want you all to know about confidence. Number 1, no one else has the power to give it to you. That's not how confidence works. And no one else has to give it to you in order for you to feel it. You don't need permission in order to think it and feel it. Now, confidence is both a thought and a feeling. I'll get to that a little bit later on in the week, but you never need anyone else's outside permission in order to think it and feel it. You only need your own. And what's more, you don't need a certain number of criteria to be met externally in order for you to give yourself permission to feel and think confidently. Little bit of a mind fuck if you are used to basing your level of confidence on your external accomplishments or on your appearance or on your relationship status or your income. But I'm here to tell you that you never, ever, ever need any kind of external bar to be met in order for you to give yourself permission to think and feel confidently. Nothing outside of you needs to exist in order for you to have confidence. You don't need to have a reason to think or feel it. Isn't that liberating? You think that you do. I mean, we were trained and socialized to believe that that is not true, that you do need a reason to feel confident, but you actually don't. It's perfectly acceptable and beneficial and healthy and fine for you to think and feel confidently even when there's no external reason to do so. I'll, again, talk about that a little bit later. Just like every sentence in here, I just want to go on a little rant because it's like, oh my God, I can't transmit this information into your brain fast enough. Confidence is available to you, and only you keep yourself from it with your thoughts, which are entirely within your control. So confidence is fully and readily available to you in each and every moment, no matter what's happening, even if you're in a situation that in your mind right now sparks a lack of confidence. Confidence is still available to you in that moment. And The only thing between you and confidence in any given moment are your thoughts. And that's incredible news because, as we learned, is you are the one who has control over your thoughts, not other people, not other people's words, not outside circumstances. What? I'm serious. Your circumstances don't control your thoughts. You control your thoughts. You get to determine your thoughts regardless of outside circumstances, regardless of other people's words, regardless of other people's thoughts and feelings. You get to choose them. So where I'm going with that is kind of just to let you know that in any given moment, you can choose thoughts that make you feel confident, even if you're experiencing something that is shaking you to your core. You can choose thoughts that ground you in the place where confidence comes from, which is your capability to withstand anything, your capability to feel and process any emotion, your capability to never give up, your capability to refuse to believe anything about yourself that is derogatory. That's where your confidence comes from, not any external thing. And if you are in the habit of relying on external things to provide you with a sense of confidence, I will talk about that a little bit later. That is how you've been operating up until now, maybe, but that's false confidence. That is confidence that is inherently dangerous because it's reliant on things outside of you that are forever changing. And that's not where you want to place your sense of confidence. You want to allow that to change and maintain your confidence despite those changes. So I'm going to talk about that a little later, especially when we get into romantic partners. Stay tuned. It may feel dangerous or scary or impossible to access thoughts and feelings of confidence, but that is a sign that you're on the right track, that you are getting closer, that you should keep going, not that you were mistaken to try and that you should turn back. So when you start to experiment with what I'll talk about at the end of this video, but when you start to experiment with thinking thoughts that make you feel confident, even in the face of, I don't know, maybe external circumstances that you could use as evidence for reasons why you shouldn't feel confident right now, when you deliberately choose to think thoughts in those moments that make you feel confident and you feel a little shaky or like a little like queasy or just like wrong, that's always a sign to keep going. It's never a sign to turn back. It's never a sign that you made a mistake. It's never a sign that like, oh, I knew I wouldn't be able to feel confident here. Oh, I knew I shouldn't have tried to feel confident. Oh, I knew that I'm actually in a bad situation. Like, there is not a single situation in which you choosing confident thoughts will not serve you. You might think that if you allow yourself to feel confidently, that you will become arrogant, or that you will stop learning, or that you will become someone you don't want to be. The truth is that your thoughts of a lack of confidence, your thoughts that create a lack of confidence, are actually the things that are keeping you from being who you want to be, not the feeling of confidence. Your lack of confidence is keeping you from learning because you don't feel worthy of being a beginner. Your lack of confidence is keeping you arrogant or seemingly arrogant because you're too afraid of being exposed for not knowing as much as the next person. And when I say this, know that a lack of confidence isn't a diagnosis. So this is what I want to talk about next. When I say your lack of confidence, all I mean is your lack of thoughts that create the feeling of confidence in your body. So I don't mean that you're just not a confident person, because I don't believe in that. I don't think anyone is confident or not confident. We're just people who have thoughts. So if you feel like, well, I'm just not a confident person, no, it's just that you're a person who has been practicing thoughts that do not create confidence. So when I say your lack of confidence, again, it's not a diagnosis. It is just an indication of the thoughts you've been thinking, and you can always choose new thoughts in any given moment. It's not something inherent about you. Your lack of confidence is not something inherent about you. It's just an indication of the thoughts you've been thinking. Lack of confidence is a habit. You're accustomed to the habit of thinking thoughts about yourself that do not produce the feeling of confidence, and you can start practicing a new habit right away. So this is just the most liberating thing in the world. You really can start to practice a new habit whenever you'd like to. And if it is really challenging and you forget about it for a couple of days or weeks, great, pick it up again. Like, it's just a book that's always open on your bookshelf. It's never like a book that just erupts into flame. You can always, in every given moment, in every day and week, start again to choose thoughts that create a feeling of confidence for you. So here's what I want to do, because this all can seem very abstract. Let's pull it down. Let's get back to earth. Let's talk about how you can implement this in your life tonight, okay? This is day 1. This is lesson 1 of our week on self-confidence. So tonight, we're gonna start really putting this into practice. So what I want you to do is take a little piece of paper. I have literally so many notebooks surrounding me at any given time. It is an addiction. I'm gonna use this one because this is my new journal. I just had to start a new personal journal and I'm so excited about it. It's just so simple. But it's I just love it. Love you. So let's take a page and write down on that page 3 thoughts that seem to plague you on a daily basis and make you feel a lack of confidence. So just let the thoughts come to you. What are the 3 thoughts that come to you most often throughout the day? Or what are the 3 thoughts you're feeling right now that are producing a lack of confidence for you? Write them down. Okay. And when you've written them down, then ask yourself what other thoughts are available to you in that area. What other thoughts are available to you about those 3 things? And I'm not asking you to go to a place where if one of your thoughts was, I'm not smart enough. I'm not asking you to try and force the thought, I'm a genius. It's not what this is about. This isn't, just saying mantras that mean nothing to you. I really want you to think about what thought is in reach. What thought is within reach for you right now, but that is less derogatory, that is less degrading, that is more supportive, just a little bit more empowering. What is that thought? If the thought plaguing you and creating a lack of confidence for you is, I'm not smart enough, perhaps you can inch your way up to, I'm willing to learn. What feeling does that thought create for you? Maybe it's not, incredible, unshakable, Lady Gaga confidence, but it's definitely not the insecurity that comes from I'm not smart enough. I'm willing to learn. I can learn anything. I am up to the challenge. I'm determined. Those thoughts create confidence. So much more so than the thought, I'm not smart enough, and so much more so than the thought, I'm a genius. Because the contrast of that to your current thought is just too much. It'll make you feel even worse. So focus on the thought that just feels a little bit better, that just feels a little bit less like it's tearing you down. And do this practice for each one of these 3 thoughts that you came up with just now. And I challenge you tomorrow and even later on tonight, because I know you're all going to be up watching whatever until forever, because it's quarantine and we're doing that. if you get hit with a wave of a lack of self-confidence, if you get hit with a wave of insecurity, take a moment. Don't just numb away from it. Don't just escape it. Don't just run away into scrolling or online shopping or eating or whatever. Take a moment. Ask yourself, what thoughts am I thinking that are making me feel like this right now? And explore what other thoughts might be available to you in that moment that just feel a little bit less shitty. That's all we're asking for. Standards are low right now. We just want to feel a little bit less shitty, okay? And let that be good enough. That is excellent. That's perfect. It's amazing. So I hope this video helped you. Again, all week long, we're going to be doing trainings on confidence. Mini trainings on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and then an hour-long Q&A training on Friday. Send me your questions about confidence, and I will answer all of them. Just DM me. You can also comment them here if you'd like. So I'm going to read you a few questions that were submitted already to sort of like get your juices going, because these are excellent questions, and this is a foreshadowing to what I'm going to be covering on Friday during our big hour-long, extravaganza. So the first question I received, so good. How do I feel physically confident without frequent praise from my partner or without a partner at all? The next question, how to feel confident asking for what I want and feeling like it is an inappropriate request. Wow, that's a big one. Hi, Courtney. Love you, girl. The next question I've received is how to feel confident in spaces and situations in which I've felt unsafe in the past. Incredible question. Thank you for submitting. The last question I received today was how to feel confident without being an expert. So I've been chatting with these people in the DMs because that's where we chat. And I'm going to cover the answers to all of these questions on Friday in our big Q&A session. If you have any questions about confidence, if any of these questions sparked anything in you, write to me, send me a DM, and I'll help answer your question there. And if you'd like me to cover it in the Friday call, in the big hour-long Friday call, I will absolutely do that there as well. So until then, I hope you have an amazing night. Do the exercise that I recommended to you in this video. This video will live in IGTV in perpetuity, so you can always enjoy it there. And I will talk to you all tomorrow. Mwah. Hi, everyone. Today is video 2 of this week's series on confidence, all about confidence. So today I want to talk to you about something that you can do in order to drastically, radically change the way you see yourself. You might just think, well, I'm just not a confident person. I'm just not that confident. I'm just not. And I promise you that you can change that. You can become as confident as you want to be. And if you have any thoughts in your mind that are saying, well, I don't want to be too confident because you're afraid of, the deleterious effects of being arrogant, I want to tell you confidence is not the same thing as arrogance. Arrogance is I'm better than you, which is total bullshit. And confidence is I'm amazing. And that has nothing to do with the amazingness of anyone else around me. Like, I'm amazing, you're amazing. There's room for everyone to be amazing. Arrogance doesn't even play a part in that. So what I want to share with you today is something that I love doing. When clients come to me and they say, I'm just not a confident person. Why not? Well, I just don't really have anything to be confident about. That's my favorite thing in the world when a client says that, because I'm like, oh, that's a challenge. Time for me to prove you wrong. So today you're going to prove yourself wrong. If you are someone who thinks that you don't have anything to be confident about, we're going to go to work right now to eliminate that thought entirely from your brain forever, okay? So what I want you to do is, as usual, just get out a piece of paper, my favorite tool in the world, a pen and paper. Having a trusty journal on hand is always great. And write down, I'm going to say 20. I'm going to be really harsh with you guys right now, okay? I'm kicking some ass today. 20. Write down 20 things that you can be proud of, that you can admire yourself for, that you can feel good about, that you can feel happy about, that you feel grateful to yourself for. And these things can be as simple as, I got up out of bed today, I brushed my teeth, I had a beautiful lunch, or I just had lunch at all. I have had 4 cups of water today. I sent an email that I've been needing to send. I called my grandma. I texted my sister and told her that I loved her. I walked my dog and I cared for my sweet little dog in that way. I took myself on a walk. I wrote in my journal. I processed some feelings that were really difficult. I cried and that was great. I took a shower. All of these things in your mind, you might think, but none of that is celebration worthy. None of that is worthy of acknowledgement or celebration. That's not a reason to feel confident. What are you even talking about? Like, you're just listing off things that I do during my day. Why would I do this? And what I want to tell you is that all of these things are worthy of celebration. Your brain is just tricking you into thinking that they're not. And this is what's holding you back from confidence, not the quote unquote fact that you don't have anything to be confident about, because that's not a fact. So in this exercise, and you can move on past, I sent an email, I walked my dog, I took a shower. You can really dig deep and think, what am I really, really proud of myself for doing? Maybe it's leaving an abusive relationship. Maybe it's seeking out a new friendship, even though you felt terrified, like really nervous about texting that person or sending them a DM and just starting a conversation and being their friend. I know I've made some amazing friendships on Instagram by commenting or DMing someone when I was really nervous to do so, and now we're like best friends. And I am proud of myself for that. I do feel confident in my ability to do things that I'm really uncomfortable doing. That is a source of confidence for me. You can feel really proud of yourself that you graduated high school, because high school is fucking hard. If you graduated college, put that on the list. If you work a job, if you're, handling working from home and you're managing that, put that on your list. Like, whatever you want to feel confident about, whatever area of your life you want to feel confident in, put something in that area on that list. Even if your brain challenges you and says, yeah, but that's not anything to be proud of. Yeah, but I shouldn't feel confident about that. Yeah, but that wasn't actually that impressive. Yeah. No more. You want to become a confident person. You want to become someone who feels confident. You want to become someone who thinks confidently about themselves. And this is how you do it. You start in these simple ways, listing out 20 things for which you are proud of, confident around. Like, you have to do this, and the mental gymnastics that you're going to have to go through in order to get your brain to even allow you to write down so many things on that list is really the preliminary work that is required when you're becoming a confident person after you feel like you haven't been for so long. So see this exercise as a crucial, essential, foundational step in you becoming confident, in you really developing that long-lasting confidence, because you won't be able to feel super, super confident about everything in your life all the time if you don't start with this initial foundational base of confidence around things that your brain doesn't think are worthy of celebration. So let me know if you have any questions. Welcome, Applejacks. And hi, oh my gosh, good. So let me know if you guys have any questions about this. Autumn, I'm so glad that you tuned in. And I will be back tomorrow with another small training video around confidence. Feel free to submit any questions that you have to me. You can just DM them to me and I'll address them. I'll help you work through any problems with confidence that you're struggling with. And I really suggest that you use this tool. So once again, I'll review it. You find your favorite little journal or just a nice piece of paper and a pen or a pencil, and you write down 20 things. Don't get up for food. Don't get up, check Instagram, no distractions. Just write down 20 things that you're really proud of yourself for. 20 things that you're grateful to yourself for having done. 20 things that you're
proud of, 20 things that you're confident in. And I do want to also note something I mentioned earlier. If there's an area of your life that you don't feel confident in, that you want to feel more confident in, challenge yourself to include at least 5 bullet points on this list of things in that area that you are confident in or that you like about yourself. And it doesn't matter how small your brain thinks they are. That judgment call is not welcome here. There's no accomplishment too small. There's no compliment you can give yourself that is too small to count on this list. They all go on the list. And again, this is just foundational, a beautiful, like essential confidence building exercise upon which we can then build more confidence on top of that afterwards. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Annabelle, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Hello, Instagram. Welcome to day 3 out of 4 in our week about confidence. Today, I want to share with you a very, very powerful writing exercise that you can do. Surprise, surprise, we're writing again. I always recommend journaling. This is a really powerful, incredible way not only to get your thoughts out on paper so that you can observe your thoughts in a non-judgmental, loving way, but also so that you can write down what you want, so that you can write down your attention, so that you can write down the more empowering thoughts that you want to start thinking in your life. So I want to start today, since we are talking about confidence, I want to really talk about what confidence is like at the cellular level. And I'm not talking about, like self-confidence in terms of your appearance or your intellect or your accomplishments, any of that. I'm talking about like cellularly, what is confidence? What does it feel like? What is it? All of these incredible foundational things that we have to talk about. So confidence is telling yourself the truth. Confidence is answering to yourself and yourself only, first and foremost, before anyone else, before anyone outside of you, before anything else. Confidence is being in integrity with yourself. Confidence is never lying to yourself. Confidence is knowing that in any scenario, you are your biggest supporter before, during, and after. And relying on yourself in that way that isn't toxic independence. It's not like, fuck the world, I don't need anyone. It's, I am open to having incredible relationships with other people because I'm coming from this place of pure like security and reliance on myself and security within myself. Like I have such a secure, solid relationship with myself that I'm free to be in relationship with others in a way that isn't even like close to enmeshment or codependency or dependence, like an unhealthy dependence or over-reliance, any of that. This secure relationship that you have with yourself, this deep confidence in yourself, also allows you to rely on others in relationships to a healthy degree. Relationships are about reliance. Relationships are about coexistence. And you need that healthy level of reliance in order to have a vulnerable, honest, deep, close relationship with someone. So again, it's not about this toxic independence of like, fuck you, I don't need anyone, I don't need you, I got this, I can do it all myself. But it's also not about the codependent side, like the over-reliance, the like, I need you for every day and like I can't breathe without you, like please don't leave me, that. There's this beautiful, middle. We're so black and white when we're codependent, but there's this beautiful middle where everything's golden and you are so secure in your relationship with yourself that when you do need to rely on someone else, when you do need to reach out for emotional support, when you do need to be vulnerable and vulnerable. That's, I guess, the word I want to use. When you do need to be vulnerable with someone else, you don't make that mean anything negative about yourself because you're so secure that it just means that you're human And you can even like be proud of yourself in those vulnerable moments, extremely proud of yourself, because vulnerability is such strength. There's so much strength in vulnerability. So I want to ask you now, we're going to transition into the writing portion of this exercise. I want you to feel free to play this video as many times as you want to. I will include these questions in the description so that you can refer to that as well. If you'd like to, copy those into your journal or into a Google Doc and just write, feel free to do that. So here are the questions. And of course, when you're answering these questions, it really does help to sit up straight, either sit in a chair or sit cross-legged on the floor, wherever you like to journal, and really take a deep breath. Maybe close your eyes before each one of these questions and give space to each one of them to answer them fully and truthfully and honestly and vulnerably and deeply. I promise you, if you do this work, if you answer all of these questions, if you really go inside and really examine your answers to these questions, you will build up so much strength in yourself, so much security, so much increased honesty with yourself that you will become confident through that process. You will gain that security, that inner sense of strength, that inner confidence, that inner calm that you need in order to become confident on the cellular level. Like, it's not about, oh my God, my hair looks great today. It's like, my hair is part of my physical shell, which is my vehicle for existing on this earth and living my purpose. And in that way, I am so deeply grateful and in awe of it and in love with it, regardless of appearance, because appearance has no value on that deeper level. Oh my God. So this is what I'm talking about. You just have to close your eyes and get quiet, get still, and your inner voice really will come out and speak to you when you're answering these questions. So, okay, let's get started. What are these questions? What would it feel like to trust myself? What would it feel like to trust yourself? What would it look like to trust myself? What would it look like to trust yourself? How would you behave if you trusted yourself? Hi, welcome. Welcome, Lauren. All right, next question. What would it feel like, what would it be like to rely on myself and be able to count on myself? What would it feel like, what would it be like to rely on yourself and to be able to count on yourself? What would my life be like if I relied on myself more and relied on others less? And in this area, I'm talking about, many areas. But again, go back to what I said before about the dangers of toxic independence and then the dangers of codependence, of over-reliance. So find that golden middle ground. What would it be like if I relied on myself more and relied on others less? Would you have less fear? Would you have less obsession with controlling other people so that they do things the way you want them to and that you can feel secure in that? Would you feel less resentful? Would you feel less unhealthy dependence? Next question. How would I make decisions if I valued my own opinion over everyone else's? Especially in your own life. How would you feel? How would you show up in your life if the opinion that mattered most in the world to you was your own opinion of yourself, of your life, of all of it? How would I make decisions if I valued my own opinion above everyone else's? How would you make decisions if you valued your own opinion and judgment over everyone else's? And judgment, I don't mean negative judgment, I mean your judgment call, your assessment of the world. How would you make decisions if you valued your own opinion, your own judgment, your own assessment over everyone else's? Last question. What would my life look like if I told myself the truth? If I were honest with myself? If I didn't gaslight myself? What would your life look like if you told yourself the truth? If you were honest with yourself? If you didn't gaslight yourself? So I want you to sit with these questions. I hope they help you. If you have any questions about these questions, you can just send me a DM and I'll be happy to answer them. And feel free to continue to send me your questions about confidence. I've received a couple more really good ones. Let me see if I can find them here. Yes. Oh my God, yes. Okay, I got two really good ones. So in addition to the ones that I read on yesterday's live, we also have, how do I feel confident without being an expert? How do I feel confident in my knowledge without being an expert? And then the other one was, how do I differentiate between what did they say? They were like, how do I differentiate between my intuition and my learned conditioning? And that blew my mind. I was like, that's such a good question. We have to cover that. I don't know if we're going to cover that in tomorrow's training, tomorrow's hour-long training, but I do have to cover that topic at some point in the future. If you're interested in that, like in how do I tell the difference between my intuition versus my learned conditioning, my learned programming, let me know if that's something that interests you, and maybe that will come up on Monday's poll for our topic choices next week. But until then, stay tuned. Tomorrow at 2 p.m., I will be coming on here live for the hour-long training on self-confidence. So I'll be answering all of your questions. If you have not yet submitted your questions about self-confidence, send them to me now, and I will be sure to address them tomorrow in the training. And until then, I hope you have a beautiful, self-trusting, confident, secure day. I love you. Bye. Hello, Instagram. Welcome to this week's Q&A on confidence. So today we are going to dive into a bunch of amazing questions that I received all about confidence. Hi, Jess. Welcome. So for those of you who sent in questions, I think I'll be able to get to all of these in this hour that we have together. If I don't, I'll just write back to you and let you know what the answer is and we can chat there in the DMs. But for everyone listening, this is just a part of my normal format where I've begun to do polls every Monday where you get to choose between one of two topics, and the topic of the week, whatever has the winning amount of votes, will be the topic on which I do trainings every single day leading up to Friday, which is our big Q&A. So look forward to the polls every Monday to choose the topic of the week. So this week's topic is confidence, of course, and you can see all of the previous mini training videos in IGTV. So let's get started. The first question is, how do I feel physically confident without frequent praise from my partner or without a partner at all? Such a good question, like incredible question. And what I want to say to this is, I'm going to be glancing over at my notes. So what do you think confidence is? Like, what does it feel like? It certainly isn't stopping for like a little gas every 5 miles on the drive. Like, confidence isn't stopping for a few words of affirmation in order to keep going. Confidence isn't borrowing someone's opinion of you so that you can survive another day feeling okay about yourself. So whenever you think, well, how could I feel physically confident without frequent praise from my partner? I want to remind you that frequent praise from your partner doesn't create confidence. What does it create? Frequent praise from your partner creates a thought in your mind that says that you are acceptably attractive, or that you are lovable, or that you are enough.
good enough, pretty enough, whatever. And this isn't confidence. This is just whatever you get from your partner giving you a compliment or whatever isn't confidence. You don't get confidence from it. You get further reliance on the opinion of someone else to give you permission for how you think you're allowed to feel about yourself. So whenever your partner gives you a compliment, you're actually, well, not whenever they give you a compliment, but whenever you wait for your partner to give you a compliment before you feel confident about yourself, you're just further degrading your own relationship with your thoughts about yourself, and you're further distancing yourself from the confidence that is always available to you, with or without the compliments from your partner. See, true confidence, actual confidence, doesn't have anything to do with the way that your partner sees you or the way that anyone sees you. It's all about the way that you see you. So whenever you find yourself wishing that you had that compliment or that approval from someone else, just remind yourself that what you're looking for, you think is going to create a feeling of confidence inside you, but what it's really going to create is a feeling of reliance on their permission to give you permission to feel or think the way that you want to think and feel about yourself. So in that moment, I would suggest, the original question was, how do I feel physically confident without frequent praise from my partner or without a partner at all? And my answer to this is, I would suggest you really asking yourself what physical confidence might feel like. And maybe you have no idea because you've never really felt it, but take a moment now and think what that might feel like. What would it feel like to think physically positive, confident thoughts about yourself, regardless of any outside voices, regardless of any outside input? Hi, Emily. Welcome. What might that feel like? What might that look like internally? What might those thoughts be when you are at a place where you do feel physically confident? Because if you have no idea, it's kind of like you're just shooting in the dark. You're like, well, I want to feel confident, but like, what does that even mean to you? You have to get specific about that. And then you can see all the ways in which you're looking towards your partner to create that for you, which is something that is just impossible. It can never be done. It's inherently not going to work for someone else to do the legwork for you mentally that you have to do inside. It's so funny. It's so frustrating sometimes because you're like, oh, I wish I could just get, like, if he would just tell me I'm this pretty and this beautiful and this gorgeous, then I'd feel those things, obviously, right? But it's not true, because the way that we know that this isn't true is that sometimes someone will give us a compliment like that, and it's not something that we think and feel about ourselves, and so we reject it. It doesn't feel good to receive a belief about ourselves that we don't believe about ourselves. So if someone tells you you're beautiful over and over and over again, it doesn't matter how many times, if you don't actually commit to believing that about yourself and then actually believe that about yourself, the outside person telling that to you is never going to just magically create that for you. Okay, I think that is how I'm going to answer that question. Question number 2 that was submitted was how to feel confident asking for what I want and feeling like it's an inappropriate request. Okay, fascinating question. I love this. What is an inappropriate request? I have so many notes that I took on this that I'll be reading. Number 1, who cares if it's inappropriate? Number 2, what does that even mean? And number 3, what will you make it mean about yourself if the request is denied? So I would just really get clear. The person who asked this question especially, but also everyone watching this right now, think of a request that you sometimes want to make that you hold back on because you think it's unreasonable. Because there's something that's just inappropriate about that. It's just unacceptable in your mind for some reason. So what would that be? And once you have a specific example in your mind for a request that you want to make but often feel stifled making because you think it's inappropriate, ask, number 1, who cares if it's inappropriate? Who even cares? Number 2, what does inappropriate even mean? Like, define that. Does inappropriate mean selfish? Does inappropriate mean not focused entirely on someone else? Does inappropriate mean exorbitant? And if so, what does that mean? Because that's different for everyone. Someone could think, well, me making a request to go on one date night a week is exorbitant. And then someone could say, well, me making a request to go on a 6-week vacation to an island with my partner is exorbitant. Like, people have different definitions of exorbitant. So get clear on that. And what will you make it mean about yourself if the request is denied? So if the request is denied, it's likely that you're afraid of making that request, because then you'll have some sort of internal dialogue that shames you and blames you and makes you wrong. And we're always going to, in that situation, avoid feeling that way. So we're going to avoid making the request, even when that request and making that request, going through that whole painful process, could teach us so much about ourselves. What are you afraid that you will think about yourself if you make this request that you think is inappropriate and it is denied? Well, fuck. I guess I really am too much. Damn, I guess I'm really not worth that after all. Damn, I thought this person would see how valuable I am and would want to, do that thing for me, but they don't. So maybe I'm not as special as I thought. Maybe I'm not worth it. Like, what is coming up for you? What are you afraid that you will think and feel about yourself if the request that you made is denied? Once you look at these things, and the reason why I'm asking you to do this is, once you look at these meanings that you will extrapolate from a denied request, you're going to be able to really identify the thoughts that you are thinking about yourself all the time that are just being triggered by the event of someone denying a request that you've made. So if it's like, I'm not worth it, I guess they don't love me enough, I didn't deserve this, those are all thoughts that are always running in the background anyways of your life that you just have to look at. So if you're able to look at those thoughts and kind of anticipate them ahead of time and soothe yourself through them, then you'll be able to make a request and survive the denial of the request. Like, you'll be able, and at that point it doesn't even matter if the request is met or not. Why? Because you're not hanging your emotional well-being on whether or not that person denies or accepts the request, denies or obeys the request. It just won't matter, because you'll be taking care of your own emotional needs. And we know that the only reason why you would want that request to be met anyways is because of the way that you think it's going to make you feel when it is obeyed. I'm not sure what other word to use. Complied, that's the word. I was like, obey isn't quite the right word, but the only reason in the first place why you really want that request to be complied with is because of the way you think you'll feel about yourself and the relationship and the partner and whatever, because of the way you think you'll feel after it is complied with. So if you're able to reach that emotional state beforehand, it doesn't matter. It's just a neutral circumstance outside of you. It doesn't matter if it's actually obeyed or fulfilled. You are good. You're emotionally solid. You feel amazing. And you're able to, number one, make a request from a much cleaner, much more detached, much less like reliant and needy and obsessive place, but you're also able to just be totally fine whatever happens. This might seem really foreign to you because you're not necessarily accustomed to how this feels like. Maybe you've only ever had experiences where you make requests out of a sense of a need or desperation. And I totally understand, because I was there for most of my life. But I promise you, once you're able to understand, what emotion am I afraid of feeling if this request is denied? What am I afraid of thinking and feeling about myself if this request is denied? Let me approach that head on. Let me really examine that. Let me understand how I can still maintain positive, loving, supportive thoughts about myself, even if this request is denied. Then I don't have to be so attached to the request being fulfilled in order for me to feel and think these things about myself. Does that make sense? I really hope it does. That's such an important question. I think that was my favorite one, so thank you to the person who sent that in. It is so important for us to understand that whatever request we're making, it's only because we think that we'll feel a certain way at the meeting of that request, and that we can feel that way anyways, and we don't have to feel negatively if that request is denied. And if you do, that's okay. Like, it's okay to feel disappointed. It's okay to feel frustrated. It's okay to feel crestfallen. I love that feeling, crestfallen. But just knowing that you can meet all those needs for yourself ahead of time. It's amazing. And then everything on top is just like fun. It's just like, oh, this is like, my cup is overflowing at that point. It's great. I had some more notes on that one. I'm just going to read these notes real quick because they are good and I want to read them. If someone denies the request, then do you make that mean that the request was inappropriate? And would you then make that mean that you were wrong? What are you ashamed, or why are you ashamed of your wants and needs? And why are you making someone else responsible for meeting them? Yes. Oh, so good. It's so funny when I go back and read my notes. I'm like, that was a really good point. What are you believing that is preventing you from doing that yourself? What are you believing about the request, about yourself, about whatever, that is preventing you from meeting that need yourself? Maybe it's the, age-old, well, I don't want to have to tell them what I want. I don't want to have to communicate that. They should just know. I just want them to do it. Or it's not going to feel the same if I do it. I want them to do it. It's not true. What are you believing that is telling you that this won't be good enough? What are you believing about yourself, about your partner, about whomever, about the thing? What are you believing that's telling you that you meeting those needs for yourself won't be good enough? Okay, next question. Sip of water. Yes, Emily, you have to do it yourself. Believe it on your own. Yes, beautiful. Okay. This is such a good question. Hi, B. Welcome, my darling. How to feel confident in spaces and situations in which I've felt unsafe in the past. B, we just finished a really good question. I would suggest you go back and watch this when it's up on IGTV. Also, I love you. So, okay, how to feel confident in spaces and situations in which I've felt unsafe in the past. So, why did you feel unsafe? Like, what happened? The person who asked this question and I have been chatting a little bit in the DMs, but I will just say to everyone here listening just for the first time, if you have felt endangered, if you have felt in danger in spaces in the past, and you want to be able to feel confident in those spaces today, I promise you that you can. I promise you that you can. And the first thing I want to say is if there is a space in which you don't feel safe, in which you do want to take a break from, in which you don't want to go, but you feel like you have to for some reason, maybe it's people pleasing, maybe it's a sense of obligation, maybe it's whatever, I just want you to check in and see, like, who's your master? Like, are you answering to yourself? Are you answering to someone outside of you? Who are you answering to? And you always want to be answering to you first and foremost. That is, if you're on my email list, you saw my email yesterday or a couple days ago about cellular level confidence. And if you're not on my email list, just you can DM me and I'll send you the text of the email. But really, it's so important for you to know that you answer to you first and foremost and exclusively, really. So if there is a space in which you know that you're in danger, or if there is a space in which you don't feel comfortable being, why are you going there? Are you trying to people please? Are you trying to not cause conflict? Cause conflict, because you don't cause it by simply not showing up somewhere. Are you trying to appease someone? Are you acquiescing to someone's whim that you've just been sort of going along with for a long time and it's just kind of how things are and you're too afraid of doing something different? What do you want to do? And why aren't you doing it? But if it is a space in which you just have felt unsafe in the past and you find yourself there again, or you want to go there again or something, how do you stay safe? How do you stay confident? How do you feel confident? And my answer is, again, self-reliance. So maybe it's a space in which you are hoping to feel invited or welcomed by other people in the space, and they're just like, they're not inviting people, or they're not enthusiastically welcoming you, and you're sort of sitting in the corner, literally or metaphorically, but sort of sitting in the corner waiting to be invited, waiting to be welcomed. What if it's not their job? What if it's not their job to make you feel welcomed? This is actually good. This is another person that I was talking to about this, but it applies to this question too. This person and I were talking about being more active in social justice spaces, and they said that they are hesitant to step up in social justice circles and to engage in activism because they want to feel welcome. They want to feel like they're welcomed in those spaces. They want to feel like their voice and opinion matters. They want to feel safe. And I just said, well, what if that's your job? What if that's not the job of the people in those spaces to make you feel that way? What if you have to take responsibility for the way that you feel within a new space, within a social justice space? What if you get to and have to take responsibility for your own feelings of belonging in a place? Because again, this goes back to question number one. If someone else welcomes you into a place in which you inherently don't feel welcomed, it's going to be impossible for them to just transfer that feeling of welcome over to you. You say, well, no, because then they would welcome me and then I would feel welcome and whatever. No, that's because you would then be thinking that you were welcome there. What if you chose to take responsibility for your own emotions and not put that on anyone outside of you, which I highly recommend? What if you chose to take responsibility for thinking the thoughts you would need to think in order to feel welcomed or belonging in that space? What thoughts would those be? What thoughts would you have to think in order to feel confident in a space in which you previously felt unsafe or a lack of confidence? I'm going to suggest a few thoughts here. One of the thoughts would be, I answer only to myself. Another thought would be, I am always safe because I always support myself unequivocally and unconditionally. Another thought could be, I can leave whenever I want. Another thought could be, I don't ever have to come back here. Think of all of the thoughts that you would need to think in order to feel confident in that space. And, oh gosh. I just said one of the thoughts that I wanted to come back to, but now I can't remember what it was. Maybe I'll remember it later, but just understand that your security does come from your own support of yourself. And if you feel unsafe or a lack of confidence in a specific scenario or situation, ask yourself how you can show up in a way that would create that confidence for you. Are you looking towards someone else to protect you? Are you looking towards someone else to take care of a boundary that is entirely your responsibility to take care of? Are you looking towards someone else to meet an emotional need that is your job to meet? Ask yourself, in what ways do you feel unsafe or a lack of confidence or security in that area, and how can you create that for yourself and not have that responsibility lie outside of yourself, because then you put yourself in a powerless situation. Amazing. So next question, I hope that helped. Next question, how to feel confident without being an expert? Such a great question. I love this one. And it's funny because the person who asked this is very intellectually highly competent. They're extremely intelligent. And I think this points to the relativity of all of the words that we use. So how do I feel confident without being an expert? What does that mean? An expert in what? And why does that matter? And what does it even mean? Like, what does it mean to be an expert in something? Do you have to have a certain number of degrees? Do you have to have experienced something? Because I know quite a few doctors who are experts in their relative fields who have never battled those diseases. I know a male OBGYN, he has never given birth. He doesn't have a vagina. Like, what does it mean to be an expert? Obviously, you went to medical school, whatever, but the point I'm trying to make is that what you consider to be important in order to have competency in a certain area might not be an expert level of competence, or of like knowledge or whatever. Like, why do you need to feel like an expert? Are you self-sabotaging moving forward in a certain area of your life because you are telling yourself that you need to be an expert, and that bar is ever raising, and so you'll never reach it, and so you'll never have to go forward and do that scary thing and show up for a goal that you're terrified of failing at? Like, do we need to talk about failure right now? Which I think we do. I mean, maybe I'll go into that, but I do love talking about failure because failure is like one of my besties. How do you feel confident without being an expert? Like, I don't know. You just decide that you don't need to be an expert, or you decide that you are an expert. Like, what if you just decided that, right? What if you decided, like, okay, the thought of like, how do I feel confident without being an expert is, oh my God, I don't know enough to succeed. That's a garbage thought. It's not going to produce you having the motivation to go out and learn whatever you think you need to learn in order to move forward. The thought, I don't know enough to succeed, is going to keep you stuck. It's going to make you want to just like crawl up and hide. A thought, I am willing and excited and enthusiastic about figuring anything out that I need to. There's no amount of like, I don't know, no lack of information would ever keep me from the goal that I'm seeking. I have the capability to figure anything out. I trust myself and believe in my ability to like get through any obstacle that's between this thing and this thing that I want. There are people more experienced than I am, but I'm more tenacious than they are. I love that thought. I'm tenacious. I'm tenacious enough to get where I'm going, even though I don't already know how to get there. You know, that's another thing. The person who asked this question, while they are extremely intelligent, they are also, in our conversations in the DMs, they also have the tendency to sort of procrastinate things because they don't know the exact steps and the path to get there. And what I want to tell you, and what I've told them before, is that you never know how you're going to get anywhere until you're there. That's the very nature of growth and expansion and achievement, is that you attempt and you walk forward and you fall a bunch of times and your leg muscles strengthen over time, and you keep walking even though you don't want to, even though it's hard, even though you don't know what next step to take. Because you always do. That's just a lie. You maybe don't know the next 10 steps to take, but you will eventually. Once you've taken those 10 steps, then you'll know the next, then you'll know what steps you should have taken. But if you're trying to become an expert, and if you're trying to like know everything that you need to do, every little step, if you're trying to anticipate any kinks in the wire and like smooth them out before you start going, good luck, but I'm sorry, you will never accomplish anything. Like, that is not how accomplishment works. That's not how achievement works. That's not how goal cultivation works. That's not how bravery works. Like, you have to be willing to embrace the actual process of discovering how it is that you get what you want. I love this so much. Like, and I can speak to this because I have done this so deeply in my own life. I have had to so fully embrace the process of failing towards my goals. You don't win towards your goals. I want you all to hear this. You don't succeed, huge success. You fail, you fail, you fail, you fail, you fail, you succeed. Like,
you have to be willing to do it wrong. You have to be willing to not be the expert. You have to be willing to not know shit about shit. You have to be willing to fail enough times in order to succeed. So, hi, welcome. I just want you all to know that you have to be willing to fail enough times before you succeed. So there is no expert. There is no, how do I feel confident without being an expert? Your confidence can come entirely from your tenacity and from your belief that you have the capacity to figure anything out and to keep going even when it's hard, and especially when it's hard, because you know that means you're doing it right. That's where your confidence comes from. Okay, last question that was submitted, and if any of you on this live right now have questions about confidence, feel free to type them in the comments and I will answer them as well. So our last question that was submitted was, I am struggling to convert my negative thoughts into positive ones. I think I'm obsessive and embarrassing. Okay, so how to convert negative thoughts into positive ones? I will just say, stop trying. Stop trying. Instead of that, I would really dive deep into examining the obsessive and the embarrassing. I would really dive deep into understanding what it is that you mean, what it is that your brain thinks it's saying when it tells you that you're obsessive and embarrassing. So this person and I have already discussed this at length in the DMs, but I wanted to bring this example here for all of you with specifically the words obsessive and embarrassing. So when you're struggling to convert the thoughts, I'm obsessive and I'm embarrassing, to I'm amazing and I'm good to go and I don't need anyone and I'm happy and chill and good and free and confident, right? Again, don't switch, just go deep, just examine. Okay, I'm obsessive. What do I mean? Okay, what am I talking about? Why would I say that I'm obsessive? Why do I think that I'm obsessive? Why do I come off as obsessive in my own mind? What is that? What is that? Okay, get really clear on that. Then do the same thing with embarrassing. Okay, I'm embarrassing. Okay, what do I mean? What about that thing that I did was embarrassing? Okay, I did that other thing, but why is that embarrassing? What's inherently embarrassing about that? What does that mean? What does that really mean? Get so crystal clear, be exhaustive in this search for meaning. I really want you to be exhaustive in this process, because what will happen invariably is that you will come to a brick wall and the brick wall so often for people is just right at obsessive and embarrassing. They'll say, well, I was obsessive and it was embarrassing. And I'm like, no, go deeper. What is it? And then they'll say, well, I texted this person 6 times. And I'm like, okay, why is that embarrassing? Why is that embarrassing? And you're like, well, it just is. And I'm like, is it? I don't know that that's true. You can question everything. And it's not just bullshit. It's not just well, you could just pretend to question that it's embarrassing. You can actually question whether or not texting someone 6 times is obsessive and embarrassing. And once you get to the real kernel of what it is that you're ashamed about in that moment, what it is that makes you feel a lack of confidence, you can start to that's when the thought changes. It's not up here at the obsessive and embarrassing. It's way down here at the very boring factual level of, I texted this person 6 times and they didn't text back. Okay. So instead of taking that fact and making the painful thoughts around that of I'm obsessive and embarrassing, what other thoughts are available to me in this moment about this neutral factual circumstance? So I texted this person 6 times and they did not reply yet. New thoughts that are available to you that make you feel more confident and less self-loathing could be, they're busy. I'm totally okay if they don't want to talk to me. I'm secure either way. I've got me. I don't need them to validate me by texting me back. I said what I wanted to say in the moment and I'm okay with that. I did feel embarrassed when that happened, but embarrassment is just part of having relationships with other human beings, and I'm willing to sign up for all of it because I know I can handle it.
Hi, Koji. Yeah. So I'm going to read one more thing. This is from a follow-up email that I sent to a client of mine. We were talking about the same thing. We were talking about people not responding soon enough or people not responding at all. So yes, it's very, very difficult in the moment. Koji Cambrand, I don't know what you make, but you look really cool and I'm going to check you out after. So this person texted someone and they didn't reply back. And so the thoughts that this person had that eliminated all confidence and just like brought her down way, way, way low. These thoughts were, I'm sad and lonely. She left me. Why didn't I wait until tomorrow? I'm angry. I'm afraid to text her at all. I'm angry when people leave me and don't give me what I want. And what I suggested this client do is break down the facts of the story from she's ignoring me, which is like this big scary thing. She's ignoring me. It's got so much assumption in it. It's emotionally charged. It's not a factual thought. Break it down all the way down to the facts. So the facts would be, I texted this person and they did not reply in the time frame that I wanted. Like I texted this person, really. Simple fact. It's very boring. No emotion. I texted this person. And new thoughts that were available to her that were much less painful than I'm sad and lonely, she left me, she abandoned me, I'm angry, all of that. New available thoughts include, I love myself. I am never truly alone. I do like sharing things with people, and it's okay if they don't reply when I want them to. I know that doesn't mean anything about me. I allow people to use their phones however they'd like to, whenever they'd like to, and I don't make it mean anything about me or their feelings about me. I notice that I'm using this as proof of my deeper belief that I'm too annoying, that I'm needy, and that I'm too much. But I know that that's just an old story that was never true, not when I was a child and not now. So I will not continue the cycle of making myself feel unlovable by believing it. I love myself so much. And this is a reframe that I want you all to take in and use whenever you need to. If you ever find yourself, don't take it personally. So if you ever find yourself personalizing anyone else's behavior or words or actions, just take a breath. It's all you need is just one breath of space, of awareness, of clarity, and come back to these sentences. I know that my brain is using this event as further proof that reinforces my belief that I'm not lovable or I'm too much or I'm annoying or I'm whatever. But I'm going to choose to break that cycle, and I'm going to choose to not make this person's actions mean anything about me. I'm going to choose the thoughts I want to think about myself, and I'm going to think them regardless of anything that happens around me. That is cellular level confidence, my friends. That is what it means to feel the kind of security in yourself that comes from independence of anything or anyone else outside of you. It is so core and so intrinsic and so inherent when you find it. And I do want to say find, not achieve, because I promise you this is not something that you learn outside of you and then absorb in. It has always been with you. I promise you this. This is so important. It's always been with you, and you have to know that. It's something you were born with. It's something that we were conditioned out of, because that's just what happens when we live on Earth, is we interact with people and we develop insecurities and we stray from our eternal love of ourselves. But you can always come back to it because you were born with it, and it can never be taken away from you, no matter how many levels of embarrassment or shame or pain it's buried under. It never dies. It never leaves. I promise you that. So I hope this live was helpful. Again, this week was our week on confidence, and you can find all of the other mini trainings, 1, 2, and 3. This is number 4. You can find 1 through 3 in the IGTV section on my account. Next week, again, we'll have our poll on Monday to choose the topic of the week, so stay tuned on Monday for that. And if you have any questions, just let me know. If any of you resonated with what I was saying on this live and want to take this work deeper, just send me a DM, ask me any questions that you have. I'm more than happy to discuss with you there. We have some pretty fun conversations in the DMs. It's pretty cool. So Koji Cam, you're so sweet. I'm so glad that you came. B, I adore you. You're just the sweetest angel. I love you guys so much, and I'll talk to you soon. I will say, in a couple hours, 2.5 hours, at 7:30 tonight Eastern, I am doing my new moon workshop with Natalie Torres of The Traveling Light. So go to the link in my bio to sign up for our new moon workshop tonight. It's going to be an intensive workshop on boundaries and communication, and then breath work and meditation and intention setting for the new moon with Natalie. So I love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Thank you for coming. Bye.
And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for listening. If our conversation today resonated with you and you want to learn how to develop true, unshakable self-confidence so that you can live your most fulfilling, impactful, empowered life, I want to invite you to apply for a spot in my one-on-one coaching program. In this program, you'll work directly with me to gain the self-love, self-respect, and self-confidence you need in order to let go of your codependent tendencies and up-level every area of your life. Visit codependentmillennial.com and click on the button that says Apply Now to get started. As of July 4th, 2020, there are just 3 more spots available to work privately with me. And if you're ready to do this work, I want you to join me. Until then, have a beautiful week, and I'll talk to you soon. If you liked what you heard in this episode, join me over on Instagram at Codependent Millennial for more tips on how to move beyond codependency and build a life you truly love.